Hello and welcome again to another episode of our Walt Wines Shelter at Home virtual happy hours. Thanks so much for joining. I'm Jeff Sapelli. I'm the general manager for Walt Wines, and I'm really excited to be sitting indoors today because it's actually raining here in the Napa Valley. And so what better place for me to go than the place that I miss the most? It's our Walt Oxbow tasting room. So you can see behind me, this is the brand new tasting room we opened just last fall. It's a wonderful place to come visit. We hope that you come. We're just chomping at the bit, and we're hoping that California will soon pass that. So have a chance to come by and check us out. We're 605 First Street, Napa Valley right now. For those viewers just hanging out at home, hit that on Google, check it all out. We'll come see you soon. We've got a busy show today. We have a number of guests coming on and some wonderful wines from the Anderson Valley. But before I get started, I wanted to remind everyone that while you're sipping along with us, I hope you're sipping along with us, you can find these wines at waltwines.com. They're available on our website, and they currently have a very special offer that's going to end on Sunday. So if you've been enjoying Walt Wines, Hall Wines, and Bucca Wines while you've been sitting at home and waiting for things to reopen, we've still got that special going, but it is going to end on Sunday. So please do log on and check it out. So today we're going to talk Anderson Valley, and I have a very special guest. He is the publisher and editor of his own Napa Life. So one of the best ways that you can get in tune with what's going on in Napa Valley, the different events and activities that are going on, you can check that out. He's the author of 3 different books, Napa Life's Insider Guide to Napa Valley, Spinning the Bottle Again, which I'm really interested in reading, and Escapes to Paradise, Adventures and Misadventures on the Beautiful Caribbean Sea. He's a great writer. He's the contributing writer for the Napa Register, where we get a lot of our local news here. His name is Paul Franson. Paul, are you hanging out?
I am. How are you doing?
I'm great, Paul. Thanks so much. It's good to see you.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day, except for a little bit of moisture that keeps falling here and there. But that's good for us here. I guess still okay for the grapes.
No, it's fine. We're just about to get into bloom. Bloom is when it gets a little dangerous for us, but it's nice to actually have a little charge of water before we start the growing season, get everything nice and lively again, get the grapes going. Hey, I wanted to thank you so much. You were the very first interview that we had. You were covering the Oxbow district, and you were great. You were not kind enough to call us and write about the Oxbow. So I just wanted to thank you for that.
Oh, happy to. I try to be the first to do everything, and I get very annoyed if anybody scoops me. So I was glad to be able to do that.
It's a true journalist. Excellent. Well, I have some other guests coming on board. They are avid visitors to the Napa Valley. They're good friends of mine. They're wine club members for Walt Wines. It's Ian and Megan Barker. Guys, are you guys out there?
We're here.
Hey, Jeff.
Hello.
Hello from Redland.
Hey, how are you? Nice and sunny down there.
It's beautiful.
Hey, thanks for coming on. I know it's a little early. You might have the kids, and I know you had to break away from work.
They're somewhere.
It is.
I don't have a work call for like another 45 minutes. So.
We'll move quickly then. Well, first, I'd like to introduce you to my good friend. His name is Paul Franson. He's the writer for Napa Life and the Register here in Napa Valley. So he's in the upper screen for you guys. You say hi to Paul.
Hi.
Paul.
Hey, Paul.
How are you?
Doing well.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
And since it was a big crowd today, I had to buy a big bottle. So I've got this huge bottle of Bluejay for us to try. I know it was your favorite, so I wanted to pour you a glass. That's all right. I'm gonna actually pass the bottle over to Paul because he's just in Napa Valley. So Paul, you ready? Here we go. All right.
Ooh.
You got it? Okay. Why don't you pour yourself a glass, Paul? All right.
I will do that.
And there you go. There you go. And then Megan and Ian and Paul. There you go. I'll just grab that back from you. So I'm gonna pour you guys because you're kind of below me. So I'm gonna start with Megan and then Ian. There you go. Little bit.
That's good. Okay.
Very nice.
I know you like a full glass of wine, so This is our 2017 Bluejay Pinot Noir from Anderson Valley. It's from our Corners estate. It's from the valley, kind of the bottom of that portion of the vineyard. It's a wine that has a really nice delicacy to it. It's a little bit more austere than, let's say, La Brisa or some of the wines that we make from the Sonoma County or the Santa Rita Hills. But I love the blue fruit. I love the red fruit in this wine. But really, well, the reason I wanted to have you on with Paul was you've been to a number of events and you've enjoyed our wines for years. We have some old photos of you. You had a funny story to tell about an experience at Hall Wines.
I don't know. Those the stories might not be fit for Facebook.
Oh, it's
No.
all right. So, Paul, since you're not in the loop, and for the viewers at home, so we in 1 year we had a big event, and Craig was hosting the event, and he had lost a bet, and so Ian dresses up as an Easter bunny every year for their kids. And I was able to steal that outfit and bring it down for Craig. And as a nice gesture, he signed a bottle for Megan and Ian. And I think we have a picture of it here with the Hastings glass. And then obviously for your 40th birthday, Ian, you had a nice bottle of Walt, and we signed all that. And that was just,
Yes.
I think, about 5-6 months ago.
Yes,
so these are great ways to.
It's no
there's
longer
the bottle.
full. It's empty, but
Yeah, that was my my favorite birthday present, I think.
yes,
Is that okay,
by far.
Megan? Very cool with the gold pen and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So needless to say, we have some very fond memories attached to Walt and Hall. So, in this one.
Oh yeah. So this is just to give a little background here. Here we are at Jeff's old pool in Novato. Jeff is demonstrating a time-honored tasting technique that he pioneered. I think they call it the Napa noggin. Is that it?
I think that's what Jeff
Paul,
called it. Yes.
Is that accurate, the Napa noggin?
Yeah, and it's a good way to tell if the wine is well balanced.
Well, thanks for doing that. I like this. This is our editor and producers on the show are going above and beyond the call of duty for sure. Paul, so we're just starting to get out of I'm just trying to dovetail out of that. We're just starting to get out of the shelter in place, and you are the best author of what's going on in Napa Valley. Do you have any kind of idea about what we might be expecting in the next couple of weeks so that Megan and Ian can come back and visit?
Well, things are starting to open up a little bit. The first step is a lot of restaurants that closed completely and have now reopened and have delivery and pickup. That may not seem a big step, but like Azzurro Pizzeria in Napa, which is a favorite place, closed, which is sort of strange because everybody eats pizza. And that's always been takeout. But they've reopened on weekends, and ABC Bakery in Napa. But Up Valley, a number of other places have opened that way. Now, one restaurant opened for 2 days, and the county shut them down again for in-house. But I believe that fairly quickly we'll be able to certainly have food outside. A lot of restaurants here, of course, have al fresco dining, and there are going to be restrictions, and people will be careful. But I think that things will happen. Within the next few weeks, we'll start to see things open selectively and carefully. I mean, nobody wants to spread disease. We've been very fortunate here in Napa Valley. We've had very little of it, and nobody wants to have that happen.
Yeah, definitely. We heard about restaurants from the state of California, and obviously, we're just chomping at the bit here. The place is behind. You can't see the tasting room behind us, but it's full right now. We have different sanitary equipment starting to come in. We have different hand sanitizers coming in. So we did have a question that came in based on that very nice picture that Ian and Megan were nice enough to send the questions to you, Paul. The question is, do you ever do the Napa noggin?
I don't think I could do that with my bald head. I would have to put a on it or something like that.
It's still possible somehow. I'm still doing it. I don't know how that happened, but it's able to happen.
You don't want to do a live demonstration, Jeff?
I just did. You missed it.
Oh, I missed it. I'm sorry.
Oh, he's out of frame. Yeah.
Oh.
Actually, I'm so consumed with the idea.
Oh, wow.
I'm so consumed with the idea of Craig in that bunny suit, and I'd love to picture of that to embarrass him. But anyway.
Well, Megan and Ian, as much as I loved having you on, I do have to keep things going. I wanted to thank you guys so much for joining me and embarrassing me on Facebook today. Here's to both of you. I look forward to having you over, and I look forward to paying you back. So thank you so much.
Our pleasure.
Cheers.
Thanks,
Nice
Jeff.
to meet you, Paul.
Nice meeting you too.
Very welcome. So, Paul, ask you a little bit more technical questions about the wine, and you follow the Napa Valley, but you also are an astute wine drinker, and I know you love Pinot Noir. What's your take on our Bluejay of 2017?
I love it. I don't think I've ever had it before, so this is a great opportunity for me. I've had, of course, wines all over the world, from Georgia to Chile and everywhere, and certainly in Burgundy. And
yeah.
I must admit that Anderson Valley is probably my favorite part of California for Pinots, for that matter. I find them a little bit more delicate, more Brazilian, if you will. And this one has excellent flavors. It's interesting because I have a feeder for squirrels outside my window, and blue jays were out there this morning eating them, which made me think of this. But it has very nice cherry flavors. It's not heavy like a lot of Napa Valley producers of Cabernet, cold areas like Sonoma and Mendocino, and they try to make a Cabernet out of Pinot, and that's a terrible thing to do. Too much of everything, too much extraction, too much oak and all. And this is delicate, and I just wish that I had some duck or some salmon or something here to eat with it.
The duck's been very popular on our sips as a pairing. I think I'm going to need to cook some duck sometime soon here. Well, we also have another guest, and you guys are very good friends, and she's obviously near and dear to my heart. Catherine Hall wanted to check in and say hello, because she hadn't seen you in such a long time. So I think, Catherine, you're available for the moment. Hey, there you are.
I'm here. Hello, Paul.
Hi, Kathy. How are you?
Great to see you. My God, this isolation stuff is difficult. I miss you.
It is. Thank you. I see you here and there, little bits and pieces, often at big events. I think the last one was up at your winery in St. Helena for a political thing, or maybe it wasn't even political. But anyway, it was nice. It's nice to see you again.
Great to see you. Yeah, you're looking good.
Catherine,
thank you.
We are drinking Bluejay right now. I was wondering if you'd like a glass.
You know I love Bluejay, and yes.
All right. So this is going to be, I'm going to have to go over the top of Paul.
Oh, wow.
And then
okay,
there
ready?
you go.
Okay, got it.
All right. Okay.
Got it. Not bad.
Nice glass. Excellent.
Yeah.
That's a big old Pinot glass.
Yep.
Very cool. So this is the 17 from our first estate that you actually purchased up in the Anderson Valley. That was the first place that we bought a vineyard. I was wondering if you wanted to talk about that for just a second, and then I've got a surprise for us.
A surprise for us?
Yeah.
Okay, well, so.
Show's full of surprises.
Yeah, right. I love Anderson Valley. I love Anderson Valley for many reasons, but I really, really like the fruit there. And I think we are so lucky that we have this vineyards, which we call, as you well know, Jeff, the corners. And it was lucky that we found it to begin with. And then afterwards, now it's almost impossible to find fruit in the valley. It's such a small place to be. So we were ahead of the curve in that sense, and we're very, very lucky that we've got it. And I just think it produces. I know you're going to talk more about the vineyards and the wine, but for me, I love the variety that we get over the course of this vineyard. I mean, we get a style of very distinctive on the top of the hill compared to what we get at the sort of the lowlands on the hill. So it's a very special place.
Yeah, it's I think you nailed it. I'm not sure how I'm going to add to that. I think it was a really important part when we were putting together the different vineyards in, from the Willamette Valley. Obviously, we weren't looking to acquire a vineyard there because we had such great fruit from Bluejay. But then as we kind of came down, I was grateful that you recognized that we had an opportunity to be in Anderson Valley permanently. And so the fact that we get to make a few wines from there now is pretty exciting. So the surprise that I have for the two of you is, so you both live in Napa Valley, and Paul, obviously, your career has followed you through the Napa Valley. But Catherine, you first started in Mendocino. Your dad owned a vineyard in the Redwood Valley of Mendocino, which is really close, not exactly the same area, but really close to Anderson Valley. So I wanted to have a trivia contest, because if there's two people that know these areas the best, it's the two of you. And so we're going to play a quick trivia game.
Okay, but I'd like to point out that my knowledge of this is from a long time ago, but okay.
How about me?
Well, I can pour you some, more wine.
Okay.
So, so the only deal here is that whoever loses owes the other person a bottle of wine. So I just want to make sure that's okay with both of you.
That's easy for her.
Easy for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, for those of you who are chiming in, we would like you to ask these two questions. And so I'm going to start with one, and then I've got one already from the public. So geographically, and this question is to both of you: which county is larger?
Mendocino.
Mendocino's correct. You both get it right.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! I hope they're all this easy, Jeff. This is great.
But Napa, Napa's
I'm
actually pretty small.
warming up.
Napa County is small, but on top of that, Napa Valley is really small. People don't realize, how small it is compared to most. Like Bordeaux, I think, is 20 times bigger than Napa Valley.
Totally.
Napa Valley is
really a city. Yeah.
Napa is 789 square miles versus the gargantuan 3,878 square miles in Mendocino.
Oh.
However, my guess is that the population, Mendocino is so spread out. There's probably 80,000 people max in Mendocino County altogether. So I'm sure we've got more
that many in Napa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once I had the opportunity to fly in a helicopter owned by another vintner up to and back from Anderson Valley. We went up through the valley, but on the way back, he was in a hurry and came back cross country. And he pointed out the places in those days where he couldn't fly over because they'd shoot at him. Those beautiful green on top.
We all know those. In the old days, my brother and I used to say to my dad, he was in the wrong business in Mendocino County. Life could have been very different, but Oh,
yeah. I understand there's a truffle orchard up there that the people who owned it died, but it's next to a illegal pot farm. And nobody is afraid to go up there because they're afraid they're going to be shot. But they're actual real truffles, big time, growing up now.
Well, it's a pretty cold area. It's got a lot of fog. You get a lot of it's one of the coldest growing areas that we have, at least in California. And you get this big shot of sunlight from July to August, and that's basically your entire opportunity to ripen fruit. But we can see a quick view here. This is the top of the Corners Vineyard, and it's probably a good opportunity for me to pour you both a glass of our single vineyard designated. This is our 2017 Corners. So the vineyard, as Catherine had mentioned, at the valley floor in the Anderson Creek, that's where Bluejay is sourced. And then it goes up really steep and very high. And so the elevation gain is sometimes 200 feet and over 1 acre. And so as you're going up, you can see just out west towards the ocean, the fog is starting to roll towards us. And this is the middle of summer on a very warm day, and you're just looking at that fog line starting to come in for you. And what that does is it because it cools down so quickly, we retain a lot of the acidity in this wine. We get a lot of brightness. And so even though we might have some more structural components in corners, you do have this really lively fruit character. And so I think since I've introduced the wine, it's just appropriate that we have a taste, because we've got a couple more questions for you. I'm not done yet. So we'll start with Catherine, if that's all right. I'm going to pour you a glass of the 2017 Corners.
Okay.
And
ready?
All right. Okay. Yep.
Got it.
And then Paul.
Oh,
I got you.
On one side again.
Oh, there you go. It's funny how it's already full.
That's a miracle. By the way, Paul, don't you think those pictures like that just makes me remember? I've always thought I love Napa so much, and I wouldn't want to. I'm glad that we're here. I love the wines that we make from here in Napa, and I love the community. At the same time, Mendocino is just so dramatically beautiful.
It's beautiful, and it's really great. I first went up there in the 70s. I had some friends who left Los Angeles and started a winery on the way, not into Anderson Valley, but on the way just outside of Cloverdale. It's what's now Mountain House. And they made nice wines, but unfortunately they didn't succeed as a business because they were just there too soon, I think. But of course, when you're up there, you keep going. And that's the first time I visited Anderson Valley. And then, of course, Mendocino. And to me, Mendocino is one of my favorite places in the world. You know, that movie, Same Time Next Year, that always brings back those memories of, I shouldn't bring out girlfriends or anything. But anyway, it's a great place to visit.
Oh, but you do have had them, and I have known many of them.
For those who don't know, Paul's a man about town. He's a good dude.
That was a while ago, but anyway. No, Mendocino is a great place, and whenever I go to Anderson Valley, of course, you think you're almost in Mendocino, but it's a long way to get there. You have to drive through that cold, dark forest, and then up the coast. And
the Yorkville Highlands?
Oh yeah, no, that's the other way.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but anyway, I'm overdue. In fact, I really am overdue to get up there.
Oh.
Very nice. Well, I hope that both of you are seeing that the style has changed a little bit. Same vineyard. Yeah. We're much more concentrated. We're much more full on the palate. We have a little bit more tannin. There's a whole cluster preparation that we've actually performed in fermentation for this wine. The way we go about whole cluster here, Paul, is what we'll do is we'll remove the berries from the stem, and we'll actually roast those stems in a chili roaster. And what we're doing there is we are steaming out that green vegetal flavor that you'll find in the wine. And then we'll add it back to tank, and we still retain that tannin, that little bit of a spice lift in the wine, but we won't have that green flavor that you can often get with unripe stems when you're doing whole cluster. So I hope that you're picking up.
I've been writing about the wine technology for 25 years. I've never heard of that before. So, but you're right though. The tannins are very smooth. Now this is a year older than the other wine, so the Bluejay. Mm-hmm. So I mean that always a year makes a big difference sometimes. But it's a very nice wine. But again, it's not over the top, which is something I do not appreciate in wines.
I love the texture of this wine.
Me too. And I mean, don't you think, Jeff, that the whole cluster, putting the stems in will help add to this density in terms of the mouthfeel?
One of the tricks with Pinot Noir is how thin the skin is. And so if you're trying to derive structural components, so for those of you who are confused what I'm saying, something that gives you a little bit more of a full flavor, a little bit more of a drying sensation on your palate, that's the astringency that tannins usually provide. Pinot Noir is not full of tannin. And so we're looking to add some elegance to the wine because there's so much flavor and some length, and we're doing that through whole cluster. All right, so I'm going to take over because I know you guys will talk all day. You're great friends from many decades, so I need to finish this conversation. Insider's look at Napa Valley. What are your favorite local gems here?
Well, they're all closed right now, so it doesn't matter.
So that's even more insider, right? How do you get in?
But I mean, there are a lot of great places, restaurants. It's interesting because when I first came here, I moved here in 1996. It was wine. That was it. And slowly restaurants became more and more important. And this became a culinary center for America. More recently, entertainment and, music and stuff festivals have become very important. Film Festival, Napa Valley, Bottle Rock, all that. But going back, I'm still sort of a food guy. And Bistro Don Giovanni remains one of my favorite restaurants. Now it's closed. They've been closed for this whole thing. And I'm anxious for that to reopen. I used to live in St. Helena. When I moved to Napa Valley in 1996, I lived in St. Helena, or just south of St. Helena, for 4 or 5 years. But as a single guy, it was just time, and I moved to Napa when Napa was really starting to change. The first article I actually wrote for Wine Business Monthly in 1996 was about this projected river flood control project.
Yeah.
That Bill proposed. And in those days, the old days, Napa, the city of Napa, flooded 2 or 3 times a decade in serious flooding. Some of the flooding was up, 10 feet into the houses and all that. So nobody would invest. So things have changed dramatically. But in that time, of course, I moved down to Napa. I think the center of the valley has moved down here to some degree. And Napa and Calistoga have suffered a little bit. They used to be the places you went. I do think they're coming back to some degree. But Provinia used to be the restaurant of Valley. And then it faded, and now it's the Charter Oak. They're a good place and all that. Calistoga really went into decline, but I think they're coming back, some new resorts, a lot of different things happening up there. You notice I'm talking my way around, trying not to commit to saying what I like to do most.
I can throw it to Catherine. So you, Paul, you touched on something that I think was interesting. So, Catherine, you were passionate about coming to the Oxbow district, and it wasn't only a couple of years ago or maybe it was a little longer, about 10 years ago, when this whole area would flood. And so the houses were all built very high. Our tasting room is very, very high, but you were very passionate, and I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about why we moved here and why we took our tasting room to Oxbow.
Well, I'd say it was really selfish in the sense that we could tell that this was going to be a thriving center. It just had all the makings. It had the population density. We know Bordeaux. We've seen what's happened to the city of Bordeaux, and Napa has the ability to do that only better and make it more environmentally friendly. There's just a lot of things that can happen down there. So for us to be able to open a tasting room, and particularly to be able to do one where we have it now across from Oxbow, which is just the center of the universe in terms of really sort of great cuisine, great place to get oysters. Just great place to get, if there's this type of cheese or stuff that you can't find someplace else, you can pretty much find it at Oxbow. That's the place to be.
Yeah,
I love it here. Yeah, sorry.
In fact, when Kopi was built and the Oxbow was built, that changed Napa dramatically.
Totally.
And of course, Kopi went through some bad times, but it's come back again, or is coming back. But the Oxbow has become the place I always take visitors. And I go there myself. The Hog Island is one of my favorite places.
Love it.
And in fact, I'm in a group of writers and other people who every month we meet for lunch on the deck if the weather's decent. And it's a group of rotating group of people, many of whom you would probably know. And since we all work at home, we're freelancers. It's sort of like our office. We get together and gossip and talk about what's happening and everything like that. And it's been a tremendous addition to the city of Napa. And then Copia, it's coming back a little bit slowly because they have to pay as they go. But they're starting to put on more and more things that are relevant to the local community. And one nice thing is it is aimed at the local community.
It is.
The people who opened the Copia originally were very oriented toward New York and Washington, D.C., and the people who would visit. And they really thought that the local people didn't matter. And it's no longer like that at all. So that's great. And of course, downtown Napa in general has not only added a lot of restaurants and tasting rooms like yours, also entertainment. Unfortunately, the silos closed, And of course, everything's closed right now. But a lot of the downtown tasting rooms and restaurants have music, which they did not 10 years ago. And even up valley in St. Helena, the Saint and other places have music. And Calistoga has music. And that's the new part of Napa that I think contributes so much to life here.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It's so charming. I mean, it really has been able to grow and keep its charm. It feels organic. When you are downtown, you don't feel like some developer came in and said, this is how I want this place to be. It just feels to me like it grew up the way it wanted to grow up.
Yeah,
the old Victorians, the porches downtown. It's kind of continuity to First Street, I think, which is really great. But I'm going to cut you off again because I do need to finish my trivia because we've only had 2 questions. I've got a bottle of wine on this, so
okay.
I'm going to ask you one last question, and then obviously if you have anything else you'd like to say. So the tiebreaker, because you're currently tied, is how do you say cheers in Bootling?
Oh, you got me there.
Hi.
So Bootling, for those of you who don't know, is the language of the citizens of Boonville. They created it years ago, and it's a dialect. It's an English dialect, but it really just has different words. So they say certain things like something horn, maybe.
Oh gosh, Paul, we're gonna have.
I like it. I stumped you.
I'm familiar with the Bootling, and I've been there, and I've read about it, but I don't remember the word for that.
So I'll just say that you both win today, and that the answer is the way to say cheers in Bootling is ball horning. So good drinking. That's the trans ball horning. So ball horning to both of you. Paul, I wasn't sure if you had anything you wanted to say about what's going on in Napa Valley, and then we can settle the debt someplace else, I guess.
Well, I just would like to say everybody who doesn't live here is welcome to visit. If you send me an email, I'll be happy to send you my newsletter for this week, paul@napalife.com. But right now, because of this horrible COVID problem, if you go to my website, you can get a list of all the wineries offering delivery and pickup and special deals, all the restaurants that have pickup and delivery and so forth, and even a list of virtual tastings, including this one.
Oh, thank you, Paul. Appreciate it. And Catherine, did you have anything you wanted to say? I know you've got a special guest coming tomorrow onto the Hall Wines Facebook Live.
I do, but I want to say I use Paul's list. I mean, we are
yes.
We are doing takeout. Anybody, if you don't subscribe to Napa Life, you're really missing something, because I don't think there is anybody in the valley who knows more about what's going on all over this valley than Paul Franson. And so I'm not saying it's just because we're friends, Paul, but I mean, you really do know what's going on here. And I think it's just, it's fabulous that you do what you do and share all of that information with everybody here.
Well, if you can't tell, I'm blushing.
So
I can put the glass back on my head.
Yeah, and Jeff, I just want to say too, just one. You probably say this too, but I just want to say, for when we can welcome you to the winery, we are so anxious to have everybody come, and we're going through many hoops to make sure that it's not only safe for our team, but safe for the people who come, and on top of that, to make sure that the people who come know how safe it is. So I think we're going to be able to create environments, a lot of them outside, that are going to be very welcoming and very, not only very healthy, but you'll also feel comfortable being there. Yeah,
no, we're being as clean and cautious, and the lifeblood of this valley is when people come visit, and we get to share the wines with them. So I think that's awesome. So you have Michael George Scott, the lead tomorrow. He is he's near and dear to me because we took my daughter to see Aladdin on Broadway, and so she is going to freak out tomorrow when she sees Michael on the show. So everyone tune in tomorrow at 4:00 to the Hall Wines website, the Hall Wines Facebook page. where you can see Michael, George, Scott, and Catherine talk about wine. I wanted to say thank you, Paul, for coming on the show. Catherine, thank you for joining me, because that makes everything easier for the two of you guys. For those of you who would like to check out Hall Wines tomorrow on our Hall Wines Facebook website on Monday, Baca Wines will be going on their Instagram page. Walt will be going on Tuesday on their Instagram page, and Hall on the Instagram page on Wednesday. Our SIP specials, so those shelter-in-place sets, are going to close out on Thursday. So if you're interested in grabbing those and sipping along with us, we're going to keep tasting throughout the rest of May, because we're still going to be sheltering in place for the rest of May. And I just wanted to say thank you for everyone who tuning in. Thank you to both of you for coming to join us. Thank you to everyone who is helping us deliver food, to get food, to the first responders, to my cousin Erin in San Diego, who's a nurse at UC San Diego. You guys you're doing a great job. Everyone have a great weekend. Enjoy your wine. Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers.
You're welcome.